And so for today, we're going to see pronunciation of rules in basic dental terminology, introduction to grammar, numbers, days and times, and verb conjugations. And so for pronunciation rules, we need to go over some of the basics. And so the nice thing about Spanish is that the alphabet, the way that you say it, it sounds the same in no matter in each situation. For example, like in English, like if you have the A by itself, it sounds one way, but if you have the E and A together, it sounds another way. In Spanish, the A is gonna sound like A. And so for this, I'm going to go over each of them so you can unmute yourself and you can repeat after me. And so A is A. B, perfect. B.
B.
C.
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 Perfect. D.
D.
E.
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 F.
F.
G.
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 H.
H.
I.
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 J.
J.
K.
K.
L.
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 M.
M.
N.
N.
O.
O.
P.
P.
Q.
Q.
R.
R.
Perfect. S.
S.
T.
T.
U.
U.
V.
V.
W.
W.
X.
X.
Y.
Y.
Z.
Zeta.
And the thing is, those are the ways that you would say to the letters. Like if you would say, like, for example, letter A, letra A. And so that's the names. But we're going to go soon into like how it pronunciates. But there's like a couple of like, I guess like the only exceptions to like certain, well, for example, like the sh, that one is the same as English. So it will sound like the same as English. For double L, instead of being like it's gonna be like j, like the Y sound. Then for this one that has like the end that has the apostrophe, it's gonna sound like a nye, like nye. Try it out.
Ni.
Perfect, nye. And then for double R, you want to like just make the R sound a little bit more like longer. So for example, r. Perfect. It takes time. So guys, as long as you practice it, it will come back. And so that's the only differences, like I guess exceptions to when C wouldn't sound the same as if it was alone. But the good thing is same as in English. Now let's go over the pronunciation of the vocals. So these are the names for each letter. Now we're gonna go over like once like you have it in a sentence, how it's supposed to be the sound. And so for A, it's gonna be the same way, A. Exactly, and it sounds the same as father. So that way you can like, that's the way you can remember. The A in father is the same as Spanish. Now for I, the sound will be like double E, so E. So if you want to remember how it sounds, it's the same sound as feed. So just remember the E is like a double E. Exactly. Then that E is like a E with an H. So it's like a setting, same sound. So E. Perfect. And then for like the O, just gonna be like the OH, like when you say no. So it's gonna be O. Perfect. We are heading a good way. Now let's go. Perfecto. We have somebody a little bit advanced. That's great. Now for this, we're gonna go over the letters and the sounds. And so we already went over like the vocals. Let's go ahead and go over some of them we haven't done. So does anybody remember what is the sound of the letter A? Perfect. Now for B, it's gonna be like B. And so an example of that is beneficio, which I know, yeah, perfect. So a little bit, I'm going a little bit fast, but it's just like the B. Now for C, it sounds like an S or K, so it just depends. So normally C, when it sounds like an S, it either is right next to an E or right next to an I. So in this case, it's cepillo.
Cepillo.
And so cepillo is a toothbrush. We're gonna go over like a lot of other examples soon. Now, when C is right next to anything but E and I, it's going to sound like a K. So for example, this is caries.
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 And that's like cavities. Now for the D, it sounds the same as D. And see, here's a very important one, diente. And that's tooth. And don't worry about like having to like write down which one is which one. Soon we're gonna have like a vocabulary list. Now for the next one, the E, it sounds like E. So for example, esmalte.
Esmalte.
And that's enamel. Then for F, it sounds the same as in English. So here's an example.
Dog trainer, you land on.
Okay. Fluoruro.
Fluoruro.
Perfect. And that's like to say fluoride. Then the G, same as the C. When the G is right next to like an E or an I, it sounds like an H. So here an example is gente,
Gente.
which is like people. But then when G is with something else besides E and I, it just sounds like a G. And so it will be, here's an example of like glándulas.
Glándulas.
Perfect. And that's just to say glands. Then H is always silent. So in here, you will say hueso.
Hueso.
And that's bone. Perfect. We're doing great. The ch is the same sound in English, so it shouldn't be too difficult. So instead of chocolate, it will be chocolate.
Chocolate.
Perfect. Which is chocolate. Then the I, remember what was the sound of the I?
E.
Perfect. And so in this case, it's inflamación.
Inflamación.
Perfect. Inflammation. That's a nice thing about Spanish and English. A lot of the words that we use in healthcare, because they come from Latin, anything that ends in tion is like the same thing. So it looks very similar to inflammation. It means that. Then J is going to sound like an H. So here is jueves.
Jueves.
And that's Thursday. Perfect. K, the same as English. So kilo.
Kilo.
L, same as English, local,
Local.
which is local. Then double L, it will sound like a G. So here's an example, llamar,
Llamar.
and that's to call. And then the next one, M, is just the same as English, just like you add like a little bit of longer sound. So mandíbula,
Mandíbula.
which is mandible. Perfect. Now the N sounds the same as the N. So an example here is noche,
Noche.
which is like night. Then the N with the little, I forgot the name for that thing, but that little like wave on the top, it sounds like niño.
Niño.
Yeah, that's the only.
Is it a
Mhm.
is it a tilde?
Yeah, I think it's a tilde. Yeah, you're right. Then for O, you want to say O, so it will be occlusión.
Oclusión.
Perfect, which is occlusion. Then P is same as English, so porcelana,
Porcelana.
which is porcelain. Then for K, it sounds like a K, so quizás,
Quizás.
which is like maybe. And so the Q, it always has like a U right next to it. When that happens, the U is like almost like silent. So I didn't say quizás, I say quizás. So that's like an example. You can like kind of like relate it to like quesadillas, which a lot of people I know, you like them. It's not quesadillas, it's quesadillas, because the U right next to the Q, it doesn't sound. So keep that in mind. Then R is raíz.
Raíz.
Perfect. And then this one is a little bit longer, so it will be carro,
Carro.
which is car, and this is root. Then S is saliva,
Saliva.
which is saliva. Then T is like sounds the same as English, so temporal,
Temporal.
which is temporal. And then the U sounds like a multiple O's. And so here's an example, usted,
Usted.
which is like saying you in a very formal way. And then V, it sounds like a V. So here's an example, viernes,
Viernes.
which is Friday. Then the W, same as it is. So what, in this case, it will be Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, sounds weird, I know. Then for X is one of those that it just depends on what it is. X is, there's not a specific rule to know when it sounds like an S versus when it sounds like an H. And so those ones is pretty much just by practicing. But the main thing like you need to know for dentistry is serostomia,
Serostomia.
which is like when you have like a low levels of saliva, and Mexico,
México.
which is like the place. And so that's the two ones that it will be like the ones that you need to know. You don't need to know the other cases. Then for the Y, remember it sounds like the same as the I. So what will be the sound? E.
Y.
Yeah. And so here today is hoy.
Hoy.
Mhm. And last but not least, the Z sounds like an S. So here we have shoe, zapato.
Zapato.
Yeah, perfect. Now, sometimes you might see that the letter apostrophe on the top, that's just to give more emphasis. And the reason for that, it will tell you where the strong sound is. An example of here is dia. You wouldn't say dia, you would say dia because the sound, the strong sound is the I. Yeah, perfect. So keep that in mind. Yes. An example of the English is when we have dessert versus dessert. So that's, you see how like in some places you have more, like what's the word? The sound is just stronger on one side versus the other one. So keep that in mind.
Dessert.
Yes.
Dia.
Now let's practice. Vamos a practicar. So can anybody read this?
Diente.
Perfect. Which what it was?
Tooth.
Perfect.
Cepillar.
Perfect. Which what do you think it is? Sounds similar. Yeah, to brush.
Oh, sorry. I didn't interrupt you.
No, you got it. Next one.
Caries.
Almost close. Let me give you a little bit of help.
Girl.
Caries.
There it is. There it is.
Caries.
Caries. Perfect, which is cavities. And then last but not least,
Cirugía.
perfect, which is surgery. Great job. Then we have another example.
Hilo dental.
Perfect, which is floss. And last but not least,
Mejilla.
which is cheek.
Molar, I think, right?
Oh no, that's cheek.
Oh, cheek, you're right.
You're good. Then here's some of the pronunciations that are very important to know as dentists. And keep in mind, this Spanish class is for you to help you to speak with your patients in a dental setting. So we're going to focus into like what is practical. Of course, we want to teach you like the basics. So because sometimes like it won't make sense if you know the basics. So keep that in mind. Now here's some pronunciations. So in here we have mouth, which can anybody read this word?
La boca.
La boca, perfect. Then tooth, we already went over this one. Yeah, el diente. Perfect. Then the next one, it will be.
La lengua. La lengua.
That was perfect, great job. And then next one would be gums. This could be a little bit hard. Who wants to try?
Las encías.
Perfect. And last but not least, we went over this one.
El hueso.
Yes. So what we did with this class, we focused on some words that are very important that you should try to focus on learning those. And then we have some bonus words that you can go over if you have more time. And so the bonus words are right here on the bottom. We already went over some of these ones, so let's go ahead and move on. Now we're gonna go over grammar, and I'm going to pass the mic to my amazing presenter, Angela.
Hello, everyone. So now we're going to talk about grammar. Then, okay. So there are two important things that you have to remember in Spanish. The first one is that all words or items or articles have a gender. So they will be feminine or masculine. And the second is that just like in English, when you want to turn a word or item into its plural form, you do that by adding an S. So the first part, feminine or masculine. So as you continue practicing Spanish, you're actually going to memorize it and it'll come naturally. But at first, you can just remember that if a word ends with the letter A, then it's feminine. And then other cases exist where it might end with an O or an E. And in that case, it will be masculine. So for example, if we're going to say the chair, that would be la silla. And then, so you can see with this table, the becomes la. And then silla ends with an A, so you know it's feminine, and that's why we say la silla. If you wanted to say a chair, it would be una silla. So just like here the table shows, right? And then if you want to turn it into its plural form, you would add an S. So like the chairs, las sillas. Or, okay, now if you want to talk about something that's like masculine, for example, a shoe, right? The shoe, that would be el zapato. So as you can see, it ends with an O and it's masculine. And then if you want to say the shoes, it would become los zapatos. Okay. So this table shows you more endings of words that can help you remember if a word is feminine or masculine or an item, right? So feminine, if you see that it ends with an A or young or with a D. And then masculine, if it ends with an O, with an MA or an E. So for example, canción, right? Canción means song. So if you can see in this table, young, that ending is feminine. So that's why you would say la canción, the song, right? Or for example, tooth, right? Tooth is diente. So here you can see, oh, it ends, it ends with an E. So it's in the masculine area. So it would be el diente. And here, another reminder that if you want to turn it into its plural form, you would just add an S. So the tooth, el diente, los dientes, like the teeth. So this table, it's showing you how to apply if you want to say something that involves my, your, their, or our. So if you want to say, for example, my book, right? That would be mi libro, right? So it's singular, and here you can see my, you say it me. Then if you want to say, for example, your book, but you want to be a bit more formal or respectful, like if your patient's older than you, you would say su libro, your book. And then nuestro or nuestra. Again, if something's feminine or masculine, right? So nuestro would be masculine, feminine, nuestra. So nuestro libro, our book. So now some practice, and then you'll see that at the end of the presentation, you also have many slides for you to practice. So, okay, el diente, that would be the tooth, right? But how would you say the teeth? Anyone want to try saying it?
Los dientes.
Yep, los dientes. Right. So now, remember the two things I said. You have to remember that in Spanish, everything will be feminine or masculine. And if you want to turn it into its plural form, you add an S. So tooth, diente in Spanish, is it male or female?
Male.
Male. And then the plural form would be dientes.
Los dientes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't realize that was a question.
My bad.
No, I was just like sitting. I'm sorry, that my bad.
Okay. It's okay. Okay, now we'll move to the next slide. Okay, so those are the two things you just have to remember, feminine, masculine, S, plural. So now we're going to start with numbers. So do you know your numbers from 1 to 20? Or anyone want to volunteer and count out loud? If not, I'll say them. But anyone want to try?
Okay, can I try?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, I don't know how to do this. Okay.
So 16.
Okay. And 18 and 19 and 20.
Yeah, very good.
Okay,
very
thank
good.
you.
So yeah, it would be, just so everyone knows, so 15, 15, right? 16, 16, 17, 17, then 18, 19, 20. Yeah, very good. So here we have a formula that's going to help you when you want to go above 20. So for this formula, first you're going to take the root, so like the double digit number, then you're going to add E, which means and then you will go with your single digit number. Right? So for example, if you want to say 64, you would take the double digit number, so that would be 60. Then you would add E, which means and then your single digit number. So in total, it would be 64. Right? So how would you say 53?
53.
Yep. What about 84?
84.
And 78? 78. Yep, very good. So you can use this formula if you want to go like higher up in numbers. And you can see here there are some links in the slide to different memory songs. You can try them when you have some time. Okay. So now for dates. So here we have another formula. So for this formula, first you're going to say the, right? Which would be el. Then dia, which is day. And then de, which means of. And then your month, right? So it'd be the third, so instead of 13th, it would be the 13th of October, which would be el 13 de octubre. So you can follow this formula. So let's see, does anyone have a birthday coming up? No?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, what's your birthday?
In español or in inglés? Okay.
Español.
El 24 de octubre.
Mhm. Very good. Very good. Yeah. So yeah. Now we'll go with time. So again, another formula, right? So if you're going to say the appointment, that would be la cita, would be es at a. Okay. So the appointment is at, la cita is a. Then you would say the hour, right? So if it's, for example, la una, right? It's just one, right? La una. But if you want to say at 2, las dos. You see how the S and also like la una, a, so it's la, right? Luego, then you'd say and, which is y, and then minute, minuto. And then you would describe whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon, right? So for example, if you want to say the appointment is at 1:30 in the afternoon, right? How does anyone want to volunteer to say it in Spanish? Then you would say that la cita es a la 1:30 de la tarde. So the appointment, la cita, is a 1:30, la una, so 1:30, 30 in the afternoon de la tarde. Okay.
Quick
So,
I was just wondering why it's una and not uno.
So that's just
An exception.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The main reason is because hour is feminine. So it's like an exception. So for example, la hora, so una hora. If you have, say, something that is masculine, so let me think of something that could work. Like normally, like if you're just saying the number, we say uno, but since hour is feminine, like, yeah, that's the reason
It's
you would
kind of
use
like the exception that we say an hour instead of a hour in English.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
No.
Continue.
Okay. So let's see. What time is it now? Anyone want to try in Spanish? So it'll be 7 de la noche.
7 de la noche.
Okay. So here we have more vocabulary, and then this will help you when you are planning or scheduling your appointments, which by the way will come very soon because we're already doing that. So in about a year, you'll be doing it too. So these are the days of the week. So I'll say them. So lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. And then here's some extra vocab. So when, cuando, day, el día, month, el mes, date, la fecha, hour, la hora, today, hoy, yesterday, ayer, tomorrow, mañana. Then, so first, primero, second, segundo, third, tercero, fourth, cuarto, fifth, quinto, sixth, sexto, seventh, séptimo, eighth, octavo, ninth, noveno, 10th, décimo. Okay.
Now it comes a little complicated, but it's okay. We're going to keep repeating more ways for you guys to practice in later presentations, but we're gonna apply it to like the dental terminology. We are not able to like just teach you dental terminology without teaching the basics. So we're gonna focus into specific verbs, conjugations that will help you. So in Spanish, like in English, you need to change the letters, like I guess not the letters, what I'm saying, the verbs to specific so you know what tense you are. And so there are 3 kinds of verbs that makes it easy because once you know, usually all of them follow the same kind of rules. Of course, there's always exceptions like in English, but we're gonna focus right now on the ones that will be like the kind of like the rules, and then we might see some exceptions afterwards. So there is 3 kinds. The verbs that end in AR. So this is an example, hablar. The verbs that end in ER, which is an example, beber. And the verbs that end in IR, which is an example, vivir. Hablar, beber, vivir. And so this is to speak, to drink, and to live. And so now let's go ahead and look at the example, how this works in the present tense. So in the present tense, the way it works, there's always a stem. So as you can see before, habl, that's like the stem. You remove, because this is an IR verb, you will remove that. And then you would add whatever you need in order to conjugate it. And the main thing about Spanish that can be a little bit confusing, that is different from English, is that on top of having to like conjugate it to like the present tense, you also have to conjugate it depending on who is talking. So in this case, here is the different pronouns. So the ones that we will really recommend you to know is yo and tú, because yo and tú will be the ones that most probably you will be using speaking with your patients. If you have more time, then you can go into like él, ella, usted. So he, her, you in a very formal way. Nosotros, nosotras, which is like we in masculine and feminine. And then ellos, ellas, ustedes, which is like them, you all. So let's go ahead and repeat with me. So let's conjugate hablar to yo hablo.
Yo hablo.
Perfect. Tú hablas.
Tú hablas.
Hablas.
Él habla.
Él habla.
Él habla.
Ella habla.
Ella
habla.
habla.
Usted habla.
Usted habla.
Habla.
Nosotros hablamos.
Nosotros hablamos.
Ellos hablan.
Ellos hablan.
hablan.
Perfect. Now, one of the things that we see a lot of, like, here's just pretty much explaining what we just did. Now let's go ahead and look at all the ways that you can conjugate it. So normally you have all of this. One of the ones that, even though we have it like vosotros, that, or vosotras, which is like a very formal way to like saying like you all, I wouldn't recommend you to learn it. The reason is because not all countries use it. Vosotros, vosotras, I think Spain and also Argentina use it, but other countries don't use it. And if you were to use just like usted, they would understand. So for just keep it simple, we're just going to keep it as usted. So like I said, we're going to focus mostly on yo and tú, but the thing is, because a lot of times, especially in dental school, you will be treating patients that you don't know or that they're older than you. We recommend you to use usted instead of tú, because usted is like a more formal, like you're talking to somebody that's more elder than you and that you don't know them. As you get to know them, you can use tú, but just better for the sake of like your trained patients, let's just keep it at usted. So now let's go ahead and focus on the 3 most common conjugations that you're gonna have to use in a dental appointment. We're gonna use the present tense, the past tense, and the commands. You might be wondering, what about the future? What about if we're gonna say, well, we're gonna do this afterwards? We're gonna teach you one really easy trick, but keep there, hang in there. Now let's go ahead and look at beber in the present tense. So remember, because it's an ER verb, we're going to get rid of that, and that will be our stem. And then we just add the stuff that we need to add in order to like get the present tense in the specific subject. So for example, here is yo bebo.
Yo
Yo bebo.
Tú bebes.
Tú bebes.
Ella bebe.
Ella bebe.
Nosotras bebemos.
Nosotras bebemos.
Ustedes beben.
Ustedes beben.
Which is like drinking in all the ones. Now let's go ahead and look at vivir, which is like to live. And here's all kinds of examples. So let's just focus, same principles. Yo vivo.
Yo vivo.
Tú vives.
Tú vives.
Él vive.
Él vive.
Nosotros vivimos.
Nosotros vivimos.
Ustedes viven.
Ustedes viven.
So that's a nice thing. Now, the thing is in here, this is a kind of like something that is different. So for beber, you will keep it as hemos, and for vivir, you will keep it as imos. So just add an MOS, just something for you to like see and be able to like start connecting the dots. Now here's some examples. So here's in the present tense, this table will help you to like, as long as you memorize it, you should be able to like conjugate all the are, and ear verbs. So now let's go ahead and put it in practice. Can anybody tell me how to like conjugate this in present?
Nosotros usamos.
Perfect. And so if you wanted to like, you would be like, whoa, that was too fast. That's okay. Usar, so nosotros, you will go to the nosotros, which is we. Then because it is an AR verb, then we just add the amos at the end. Great job. Now let's go ahead and do the second example.
Yo como.
Yo como, perfect. Yo, and then because it's the O, just keep it all the same, which is good. Now the third sentence.
It's a little covered. Okay, now it's there.
Ellos abren.
Perfect. Ellos abren. Great job. Now let's go over the past. And so in the past, you will see a lot of like little accents. And the reason is because you're going to put a little bit more emphasis into that. So, yo hablé.
Yo hablé.
Perfect, which is like I spoke. Or I, also it can sound like a little bit like calling, but yeah, it's a speak. Tú hablaste.
Tú hablaste.
Usted habló.
Usted
habló.
Nosotros hablamos.
Nosotros hablamos.
Ustedes hablaron.
Ustedes hablaron.
Perfect. And so here's the ER verb. So let's practice them together quickly. Yo bebí.
Yo bebí.
Tú bebiste.
Tú bebiste.
Ella bebió.
Ella bebió.
Nosotros bebimos.
Nosotros bebimos.
Ustedes bebieron.
Ustedes bebieron.
Perfect. And now let's try this out. Does anybody want to try on their own? Come on, don't be afraid.
Okay, I guess I will. All right. Yo viví. Tú viviste. Ella vivió. Nosotros vivimos. Ustedes vivieron.
Perfect. Great job.
Gracias.
Now here is another table that is going to make your life easier. So does anybody want to try the first sentence?
Yo
Come on.
llamo.
Perfect. Wait, yeah, yo llamo. Perfect. Now, somebody else wants to try the second one? Come on, guys. I can help you a little bit.
Usted bebió.
Perfect. Bebió. Great job. Then the third.
Ellos escribieron.
Escribieron. Very close.
Escribieron.
That's perfect. Great job. I'm so proud of you guys. Now here is the little trick that you can use in the future. So instead of teaching you how to conjugate everything to future, we're just gonna give you a very easy way to like just conjugate into future. The nice thing is this is similar to I'm going to do something. So you see how you say like I'm going to drink, I'm going to speak, I'm going to, I don't know, present. You keep the verb the same so that you don't conjugate it, just add that. And so in Spanish, if you're going to say I'm going to, you're gonna say voy a, and then you just add the verb. So for example, let's say for like the IR verb that we were using before, beber, voy a beber, voy a vivir, voy a escribir. And that way you just conjugate into future without having to worry about changing it. Yeah, so just to make your life easier. So here's some examples that we did. And so now this is for I. Now for if we were to be multiple people, you wouldn't say boy, you would say vamos. So if you're gonna say, I'm going to put, vamos a poner un puente. And so in that case, it's just saying, I'm going to put a bridge. And so last but not least, you should sometimes have to tell your patient you need to do this, this, and that. And so we pretty much wanted to focus into the formal way because a lot of times your patients, you won't know them or they're older than you. So we're just gonna keep it simple. So here's an example how you can like change hablar to command. So repeat after me, usted hable.
Usted
Usted
hable.
hable.
Nosotros hablemos.
Nosotros hablemos.
hablemos.
Usted no hable.
Usted no hable.
And this is to do the negative, exactly. And nosotros no hablemos.
Nosotros no hablemos.
Perfect. Same with beber and same with vivir. Now here's the little table that you're gonna have to memorize. And also, I forgot to say this in the beginning, we're gonna send you these PowerPoints at the end of the presentation. So don't worry about, yeah, you will have this. Now let's try to practice this. Can anybody tell me how to conjugate the first sentence?
Nosotros limpiamos.
Perfect, great job. Second sentence.
Usted comprendamos.
Here we shout, usted comprenda. Because remember, usted is right here. Don't worry, that's okay. You just, you change it to nosotros, which is like we, but don't even worry about it. This is the place to make mistakes. So in front of the patient, you will be perfect. Now the third sentence. Oh, what happened? Try it out. Just one more sentence.
Usted escupa.
Perfect. Usted escupa. Yeah, so these are just now to get you more familiarized with verbs. This is pretty much all the verbs that you need to have in a dental appointment. That doesn't mean we're gonna go over all of them. As we go through our classes, we're gonna be able to use them in like the specific things that we're gonna be teaching you. So this is like almost like you need to memorize this. And when I say memorize, it's like not like sit down and memorize in one day. Try to practice it every day. And so now, what about irregular verbs? Because we do have those in Spanish as well. With irregular verbs, here's an example. You would have to change the stem of the verb. So for example, tener, instead of saying ten, you will change it to tien. So yeah, exactly. Or you simply change a few letters in some conjugations. And so, for example, conocer, the stem is conoc, but because it wouldn't make sense, you would just change it to like Z, so conozco. Which is like, I know it sounds a little bit confusing, but that's okay, because what we did for you, and I'm glad, yes, the pain is over. I know it wasn't too complicated, but right after this PowerPoint, you're gonna find all the verbs that we told you that you're gonna have to use in a dental appointment. And the nice thing is you have like a cheat sheet for you to practice. And so this is for you to go. And so that's it for today. Great job, everybody. And we are with like maybe 10 minutes left. So if there's any questions or you wanna practice something, now is the time.
So did you just do the attendance sheets, or is there also like a reflection or something like that?
No, it's only attendance sheets. And let me go ahead. My Spanish selective coordinator is going to send it again. If you haven't filled out a form and you're like, what the heck, what they're talking about, they're going to send it to.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephanie, can you send it right now in the chat?
Yes, I'll go ahead and send it right now in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, so you will just like sign in. So pretty much that's the nice thing about the Spanish classes. You don't have to worry about it. Just present, do the job, and practice, and you'll be good to go. You'll get your selected credits. This is for dental students, by the way. For anybody that is here that is a pre-dental student or anything like that, that wouldn't apply to you. So keep that in mind. Let's see, is there any questions, any comments? Okay, I see something in the chat. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's in the sheet. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so I think that's it. So next class is gonna be on Wednesday, not Tuesday. It's gonna be, let me go back. The topic is going to be, let's go. Almost there. Okay, so the topic will be greeting patients and introducing yourself. So that's what we're going to be learning. So looking forward to see you, all of you. Have a great night and great job, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you. Or gracias.
I had a
Bye, guys.
question. So
Yeah.
like, so in your everyday, how often do you use Spanish, like to coordinate with your patient? Is it like, I'm guessing like pretty often?
Yes, so the thing is, I use it for my patients, but I also help other students when they don't know the Spanish. So the thing is, I don't know why within the Hispanic culture here in the United States, a lot of them have a little bit difficulty getting English. And the main reason you will say, like, there could be people that have been living here maybe 40 years or 50 years, and that might be because the places where they work, they only work with people that speak Spanish. And then they come home and family only speaks Spanish. So when they go to these appointments, it's so stressful because they don't know English. And they're like, oh my God, on top of like the dental anxiety, you have like language anxiety. That's the reason learning the language can be so helpful.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we will see you next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m., right, Stephanie?
Yes, it's going to be at 6 p.m. to 7 now, moving forward, except for 1 week, it's going to be on a Monday.
Yeah, we
And
will
remember,
remind you.
guys, yes. And then also just want to throw this out there. I've been saying this to some people already. When we had our populations class, like how he mentioned, in California and in LA County, over 50% of the population are Hispanics and Latinos. And they really do appreciate when you try to speak to them in Spanish. It goes a very long way with them. They really do appreciate it.
Yeah, and especially I've seen a lot of times, like even if they know English, when you start speaking Spanish, like their elbow, like shoulders, sorry, are like this, and then you speak Spanish,
And they
it's
go
like,
down.
Oh.
Almost like a sense of solidarity, if that makes any sense, and like mutual respect, if you at least just try.
Yes,
exactly. Jocelyn got it. She got the nail exactly.
Fernanda, I have a question. Can everyone hear me? Back to the whole mejilla thing. I feel like my Spanish is more Mexican than Castellano. Cachete is what we say in my house. Would cachete be okay?
Yeah, I use
Yeah, right.
cachetes
I
too.
know some countries use different. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Mejilla is more like Castellano Spanish from like Spain, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I use cachete too. So what we're saying right
Okay.
now is chic, guys. You can use either or. It just depends who you talk to. Yeah, but we use mejilla in this case just for like the example of it. But as we go more in depth, we're gonna be using like both.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, thank you again.
Thank you. See ya,
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.